some spiritual exercise, some stinky feet, and a new commandment today on another episode of the Bible in 1 year with the preacher's husband. Today we're going through Luke 22 and John chapter 13, and tomorrow we're going to go through John chapter 14 all the way through chapter 17. So let's see what the Bible has in store for us today. I'm going to go through verses 7 through 13 here of Luke 22, and this is the preparation for the Passover. Now, Jesus sent Peter and John when he said to them, "Go and make preparations for us to eat the Passover." And they were like, "Whoa, where do you want us to go?" And he said, "Well, you're going to go in the city. A man carrying a water jug will meet you. Follow him into the house that he enters, and tell the owner, the teacher asks you, where is the guest room where I can eat the Passover with my disciples?" And then he's going to show you this large furnished room upstairs. So they went, and just as Jesus had told him, that's what happened. And they prepared the Passover meal there. So just as Jesus said. The effect of Jesus' words here were, to me, kind of the same when he sent the two disciples for the donkey on which he rode during his triumphal entry into Jerusalem. And God had all the details worked out in advance. Now, a man carrying a water jug, as it said, would have actually been a strange sight during Jesus' time, since that chore was typically performed by the women. Many homes in Jerusalem had an upstairs guest room as well, with an outside entrance, which could be rented to pilgrims observing a feast in the city. The wording suggests that the owner of this room knew Jesus or was even a disciple, but we don't really know. It could be, but then again, maybe he didn't know. Maybe this was all completely God's plan, lining it up. And then we get to Peter's denial being predicted here in verses 31 through 34 of Luke chapter 22. Now, in these verses, Jesus addressed Simon Peter as the leader of the apostles and their spokesman. The plural "you" here indicates Satan wanted to sift all of the apostles like wheat, which was a rough action that symbolizes tempting them into spiritual ruin. Now, Peter protested that nothing would cause him to deny Jesus, but Jesus knew better than that, didn't he? When you have turned back, as Jesus said these words, when you have turned back. This demonstrates that Jesus also knew that even though Peter was going to deny him, that this was only going to be a temporary denial, and that he was going to play a significant role in church history to come. And then, of course, we get over here to verse 46, and this stood out to me. "Why are you sleeping?" he asked them. "Get up and pray so that you won't fall into temptation." Now, human physical weakness, hunger, fatigue, etc. can lead to spiritual weakness and temptation as well. You know, if we're physically weak, what do? We exercise, right? We exercise to become physically strong. What do we need to do to become spiritually strong? Jesus told us to answer right here. Why do you sleep? Rise and pray lest you enter into temptation. Becoming spiritually strong will help you resist temptation. Pray, and pray some more. And then we're going to get into John. Let's run over to the book of John. Now, in the book of John, there's a couple of things here. The first thing is Jesus was washing his disciples' feet. What does that really mean? Well, the meaning of the foot washing, I think Jesus summed it up well when he says in verse 16 and 17, "Truly I tell you, a servant is not greater than his master, and a messenger is not greater than the one who sent him. If you know these things, you are blessed if you do them." Think about those words of Jesus and think about the implications in our lives when you think about those words, that the servant is not greater than the master, that a messenger is not greater than the one who sent him. What does that say about people? What does that say about you and me? What does it say about people in leadership positions? What does it say about pastors and preachers? What does that say to you about these things? That's something for you to contemplate. Then, of course, John chapter 13, verses 34 and 35. "I give you a new command. Love one another just as I have loved you. You are also to love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another." Now, this Verse 31 through 34 here, or 35, actually starts Jesus's farewell discourse, which we're going to talk about tomorrow in chapters 14 through 17 of the book of John. But love must be the distinguishing mark of Jesus's disciples. As he says here, Jesus's new command closely resembled the Mosaic command to love the Lord and one's neighbor as oneself. Elsewhere, Jesus said we must love even our enemies. That was in Matthew chapter 5, verse 43 through 48, if you're wondering. Now, while the command to love God and one's neighbor was thus not new, Jesus' example, though, as I have loved you, is unparalleled. There's nothing in that. And as he was insistent that we should love our enemies as well, that was unparalleled as well. So these are new commands in addition to what all the old ones were before. So I hope this has helped you in your studies. If it has, click that like button and subscribe button. Of course, share this video if it's touched you in any way. And click that little jingle bell so you get notified the next time I upload a video. If you're rumbling with me on Rumble, hit that little boxing glove. And I'll see you again tomorrow for another episode of the Bible in 1 Year with the Preacher's Husband. I'll see you then.